Hello and welcome to Cafe DC. I'm Faiz Rahman. We'll take you live to our LA studios today to talk about the tragic shooting in the Southern California area in San Bernardino. And to talk about this tragedy, this horrible event, is Mr. Adnan Khan, who is with us live from Los Angeles studio. And Mr. Adnan Khan, let me give you his little background. He's actually an alumnus of the FBI Academy. He has done some courses with them, and he's been in liaison with the law enforcement agencies in the LA area on behalf of the community. He's also a former president of the Council of Pakistani American Affairs, COPA. Adnan Khan, thank you very much for joining us on a short notice, and we welcome you to the show. So let me ask you first, where were you and what was your reaction when you heard about this terrible, terrible shooting?
Well, Faiz, thank you for having me. I was at work yesterday morning and the report came out. I got a text message actually from Pakistan, and they wanted to know if I was okay. And from there, the scene started playing out for us. As we heard about this, I certainly brought into the group conversation members of other Muslim communities, just advising them that this situation was developing, and it was happening towards San Bernardino, where we do have a large Pakistani American community and a Muslim community, and quite a few of the mosques are in that region. And from there, we followed this news as the day went on.
Adnan, while I was talking to you yesterday, actually we were exchanging text messages. You said you were working with the FBI and you were in touch with them. So what was happening? What was the level of confusion in the law enforcement community, basically? Did they have some kind of a picture in the developing moments of the tragedy?
Well, you know, we, as I said, we are on first come basis, on speed dial with the local FBI, and basically our access is all the way to the head of the FBI. We also, the same way, work with the counterterrorism, and we work with the sheriff departments and local sheriff departments. So our communication bridges have been built for last 8 or 9 years, which are very strong, and everybody knows each other. So as David Bowage from FBI was there on the scene, and he was the first one, and we started seeing live TV getting broadcasted, we knew that we have a person who, if he needs information, knows how to reach us. As the day progressed, we heard reports that it was an Arabic-looking female who had been shot and deceased, and at that time we were able to get all our community members live on our chat, saying that this is something which could be affecting our community. And as the day rolled on, we started finding out that the name of the person who was involved in the shooting belonged to our community, and then we started finding out that the family is been here for a long time, and people in our community have strong ties with their family. And as the night then we were going into, we were finding out people calling from both sides of our community, saying, one, they did not like what they were seeing, and how could this be happening? Others was, this is hitting very close to home. Certainly the members of that family are known to everyone in the community, and they've been here for last 30 plus years. So this is something that is going to be now our subject of the day as we move forward. Our community members are in touch with the family, seeing what they can offer support and help to the family members, because the family members had nothing to do with this event. This was an event that took place from one individual and his wife who were involved, and also keeping up with the FBI channel. One thing they have assured us, that what they are going to report is going to be hard facts. They are just not going to be jumping the gun and pointing fingers or making conclusions. And I think that is the work that we all have done, to say that instead of jumping and saying it's a Muslim, it's a terror cell, it's a hate group, or howsoever, we are trying to work with the law enforcement to bring the facts out and take it from there.
Adnan, we know Southern California community is a very tightly knit community. You know, they keep in touch with each other. There are lots of centers, community centers, and there are lots of events where they get together. Of course, needless to say, they were dumbfounded and confused in the developing moments of this story. But have they come up with some kind of an explanation of the motives? Can you understand, what happened, what was going on? And as you said, you've been so closely in touch with the law enforcement for the last several years. You yourself and also lots of other community members, and the community has been cooperating with the law enforcement agencies there. So what happened? Why did the community as well as the agencies miss this potential threat in the community?
Well, just to describe this to the audience out there, we have just Pakistani Americans who are living in Southern California, around 250,000 members. When we do hold our event, our yearly event, we have to go to Exposition Park, where 10 to 20,000 people show up for the event. So that just talks about how our community is growing over here. When we look at the Muslim population in Southern California, it could be well close to 500,000 or maybe more. We have close to 100 mosques out here. And we have worked very closely with counterterrorism, which is run by LAPD over here. We've worked very closely with FBI and, as I said, other law enforcements. And what we are seeing played out is we've been asking the U.S. government, and especially Homeland Security is in charge inside the United States. They are the largest department of the federal government. And we've been asking them for help. And in the beginning of the year, I had sent letters to the Secretary of Homeland Security, registered letter. I have sent letters to Homeland Security
as a community leader
in LA, as a community leader. And what I asked them in my letters was that our community needs capacity building. I, as a community leader, the other communities, we need capacity building to get to our members in the community, because it's such a large community. As I said, I am a former president of Council of Pakistan American Affairs. And as president in the past, I tried holding events where we would bring younger members of the community to talk to them what is happening, what measures they need to take to the message that is being broadcasted to them from outside, how we can work together to educate that we, being American citizens, and as American citizens, what are our responsibilities. And as we held these classes, we would have about 100 people in each class, from 14 to 15 years old to their parents. The biggest challenge for us was we could get 100 people in a class at a time. And we certainly started running out of funds very quickly, and we certainly started running out of having volunteers. And my message to Department of Justice, to Homeland Security in the beginning of this year was, we need capacity building. We need help from the federal government. We need them to come in, and we can certainly identify the issues, but we need federal government to hold our hand, and specifically Homeland Security. And that message fell on deaf ears.
Let me ask you a question, Adnan, sorry to interrupt. When you say you need help from the federal government for capacity building, first of all, what do you mean by capacity building? And what do you accomplish? To do what? I mean, these are two important questions.
What we are seeing is that towards our population, there is a message which is being broadcasted from outside. It's coming through YouTube, it's coming through internet, which is telling them that Muslims are under attack. And this is all propaganda that is being pushed towards our population, and especially the younger population, which is anywhere from 16 to, I would say, 30, who are looking for faith, who are looking to understand what Islam is.
And identity as well, like.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And, what they do is their first thing is they turn to the internet. Mm-hmm. And our thing is that, yes, they need to go to internet and they can find everything on YouTube. But certainly, we need to reach out to them and talk to them and tell them that what they are hearing on the internet sometimes is false information.
So basically, when you say capacity building, you mean that you want to be able to counter that propaganda to your own community members? Is that what you have in mind? And that's where you help? Okay.
Yes, very much so. And the thing is that I professionally might be trained as an engineer or a doctor or as a lawyer or a school teacher. We need U.S. government to be able to put a message together with their people who are the experts. These are universities who are the experts who can help us put a message that can be then passed on to the people, because I don't want to give them a message because, my message might be maybe a wrong message, or I am not the expert at it. I am a community person who can identify a problem, but I need the government to come in and say, okay, we have the experts, we have the message, the psychologists have checked it, and now we can run this message. And yes, what our community people told us in our classes was they want to hear the message from their own community. If Iraqis want to hear it from Iraqis, Pakistanis want to hear it from Pakistanis, and they want to, because they feel comfortable when the message is coming from a community member or a person they know, because they can have open dialogue. Because we've seen is when we have let's say somebody from LAPD show up to a community meeting and we start talking openly, a lot of people don't want to ask questions. They think they are going to get profiled. Mm-hmm. So the message our people gave us was, sit down, talk to us, let's have an open dialogue, let's have this communication, and we can start teaching our younger generation population that certainly is being born here, mm-hmm. that don't fall for this hate material which is coming from the outside.
I understand your request from the federal government, and especially to the Homeland Security, that you need capacity building to counter this propaganda. But at the same time, the Southern California, the greater Los Angeles Pakistani and Muslim American community, is one of the most affluent communities in the entire country. And they have lots of resources. As you said, pointed out earlier, that they have more than 100 mosques, Islamic centers. When you have your events, you get like more than thousands and 50,000 people attend your events in the exposition center. So, do you also at the same time see some weaknesses in the community as well, in their infrastructure, in their efforts to make sure that they understand and they have the communities and especially the youth pulse, and they keep an eye on their activities and what they're watching, what they're basically where they're going? Do you basically, precisely what you see, is there any weakness in the community itself that you want to work on?
Well, we certainly have a weakness because we identify, and just not for our community, but for everybody living in United States. I think as we have learned from law enforcement, 12 o'clock at night, our kids might be safer to be in the park than to be on the internet. And that is a message. Internet is such a new thing that we have to educate our parents to communicate with their children. And I think in the Muslim communities, as in any other community, we tell our kids to go in their room and do their homework. But how many parents are going to the room and then checking what their kids are looking at? And I think this is the dialogue that with the U.S. government we need to have more openly, and we've written to them, is that, when a person who is struck with a missile and he's killed because he's acting against United States and the world and sending a hate message, well, we've asked that his message from the internet should be eradicated also. Because, when we wipe off the person from a missile, from a drone, but his message lives on the internet, and then people are going and finding their hate message. And you know what? They are acting on those hate messages. And that's something we've asked the government that, when you are erasing a person and you are giving orders to kill this person, then kill his message also.
Adnan, we have to take a short break here, and when we come back, basically we're going to talk about the community's concern in the wake of this tragedy, this horrible event, and also the coverage in the media of this event, and how was the community itself, a Pakistani and Muslim American community, was portrayed in the media. So when we come back, we'll talk about these issues. Stay with us, please.
This is very bad what's happened. This is very bad what's taking place. Certainly the community condemns all these actions. Their sympathies were with people who were hurt or who have lost loved ones.
Welcome back. You're watching Cafe DC and I'm Faiz Rahman. And our guest today is in Los Angeles, live from Los Angeles, Mr. Adnan Khan, who is a graduate of the FBI Citizen Academy and has been an advisor to the LA Sheriff and also been involved with the other law enforcement agencies in the area, and has been a leader, a community leader, and been working on lots of sensitive issues. Again, welcome back, Adnan. So first of all, let me ask you, did you know this family closely? Did you have any idea what were they like themselves, overall, moderate? What kind of family is that?
I believe I meet a lot of people as I represent the community, and I have certainly met members of this family. They have been living in Los Angeles for last 30 plus years. I know the family is a middle class family. We are learning also, we have people who are close friends with them, Facebook friends, because these days, because of social media, everybody is connected. And last night, we were just finding out how everybody knew each other. So this issue, San Bernardino, is hitting us very close to home because this is right in our backyard.
So what was the reaction of the community last night? I mean, what did you hear from the community itself?
Well, the bigger message that was coming out was, this is very bad. This is very bad what's happened. This is very bad what's taking place. Certainly the community condemns all these actions. Their sympathies were with people who were hurt or who have lost loved ones. And then on the other hand, our community is preparing for the hate crimes that might get generated. I'm very thankful to the law enforcement that has not pointed the fingers at the community or towards the religion. They are taking their time investigating this. So I'm very thankful to the FBI and the local sheriff and to the local media, because they are taking everything and not jumping the gun and pointing it towards one community at the present time.
So you're happy with the way the law enforcement agencies handled this issue, the entire tragedy as it unfolded, basically?
Yes, we are very comfortable with the way they are progressing with this investigation.
What was the reaction on the media coverage? What does the community think and feel about the portrayal in the media? Was it fair? Was it too much on the other side? What's your take?
Well, in California, we all are very accustomed to watching TV when a chase is taking place. This was something which was live taking place. Everyone in Southern California, I think everyone across America is glued. We have people who from Pakistan, as I said, were calling our consulate, Pakistan consulate, got hold of me and said, we are here, let us know. As I was just talking to you, I was getting text message from our Consul General about the same subject. So our community is very well close-knit. They are all watching TV. They are all watching how things are unfolding. And we certainly are going to be having a community meeting in the evening, talking to our community. Our community wants to make sure they are safe and their neighbors are safe and their loved ones are safe.
Are you okay with the fact that this crime, this attack, this shooting, wasn't characterized as terrorism right away, and they're still taking their time? Even the president made a statement today that it's possible that this may be terrorism, but they don't know all the facts. So, a lot of people were actually pleasantly surprised that even the media didn't jump the gun and didn't call this domestic or some kind of international terrorism right away. And right now, as we speak, it's been characterized as workplace violence. So do you see this as a change, as a positive change in the media, in the way they've been covering these events? Your comments, please?
Yes, I think our media is acting very responsibly, because one thing I saw was they called the assault rifles now long guns. I think the same way they did not identify this person with the religion. It was a name. That's what I think we all have preferred and talked about, that act of one person does not act, it's not act of a community, it's not act of a religion. As the media is reporting, and we certainly believe this is something work related, and we will be watching what the media has to say, and we certainly are putting our statements out also, and we will be watching what FBI comes out and says, that is this something homegrown, is this something work related, is this something international, and proceed from there.
Adnan, I'm sure you're going to be a very busy man in the coming days, and at least in weeks and months. So in the wake of this tragedy, are you going to propose any changes the way the law enforcement agencies liaison and interact with your community in the LA area? Were there any deficiencies or any holes that were left unattended? So, and you've been already thinking about those deficiencies in the way that these interactions take place, and what would be a more kind of effective way of combating this menace, this whether you call mental illness or you call extremism or you call rage, whatever it is. I mean, if it's in the community, how do you handle these issues going forward?
Looking at, we have built very strong bridges since 2000, moving forward since 9/11, working with the local law enforcement. So our communications with the local law enforcement is very good. I don't think we can make it any better. Our community also is very much engaged, and they understand if there is a problem, who to get hold of. We have events that are attended by all law enforcement, from federal agencies to everyone else. So communication-wise, we are in good hands. I think moving forward, we certainly request, and we are going to be requesting DHS to come in and play their role in our communities, because we need engagement, and we need engagement in a stronger way. And I think this is a wake-up call. If my letters weren't a wake-up call and my calls weren't a wake-up call, now I think it's time that we take these things and we seriously build upon what has happened, because our communities are asking for help. Our communities are wanting to bring a change, that these things don't happen again. And I think till today, we were looking at that we are happy nothing like this has happened. And I am very happy that government of Pakistan has come in and they are offering their help. So I think government of Pakistan was faster to come to our rescue than even getting a word from DHS or federal agents.
Adnan, basically you also have to look at this case, this issue from another angle. There is a lot of suspicion in the community when the law enforcement agencies, FBI, Homeland Security, and other departments, when they approach community and community members, there is some apprehension and then suspicion, then why, and then also some fear. So yes, you didn't get their response, but do you think there was some reason for them not to act immediately, number one? Number two, could there be a better way for them to interact with the community rather than just coming in as law enforcement agencies and raising the level of suspicion and fear within the community? You have to take that into account as well when you invite these departments to come to your quote-unquote rescue or help. Have you thought about these factors, the fear factor, the suspicion, the apprehension?
I think one thing about Southern California, I will say, is that for the last 6 or 7 years, when we have our Eid prayer and 20,000 people are attending that prayer, we have somebody from FBI or counterterrorism or LAPD or the sheriff department give a message. So our communities have gotten to know that law enforcement is there to help them. And our communities have embraced the law enforcement and the federal agencies very much. So I think we've reduced the gap, because I'll tell you one thing. When a lot of our students who study abroad, when they are coming, I get a call from their mothers saying, my son is coming, can you just make sure he at the airport is not interviewed or doesn't have a hard time entering United States. So our communities have embraced, our communities have very strong channels. This incident that happened is kind of that lone person out there that was not in our fold. But this is where I talk about that our community is going to be more vigilant. Our community needs more education. Our parents need more education. And I think this is a role that the federal government needs to hold a hand in this also, because we need the experts on the ground helping us.
Adnan Khan, thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate your comments and your wisdom and your input to help us understand this tragedy better. Hopefully we'll see you some other time in a very positive and better environment and better context. So, ladies and gentlemen, this was our show, Cafe DC, for this week. We were live with our guest, Adnan Khan from Los Angeles, and he was talking about the tragedy, the tragic events in San Bernardino, which is part of the larger Southern California and the larger Los Angeles community. Thank you for watching this episode of Cafe DC. I'm Faiz Rahman. Until next week, so long.